Experts say the number of sex trafficking victims are likely highly underreported. They say at least 20,000 Americans are trafficked each year, and another 30,000 are at risk of being trafficked. This organized criminal enterprise includes kidnapping, imprisonment, rape, and even murder. And into this satanic darkness comes Pastor Bill Lasasso, a man who has a long history of starting pathway churches in the U.S. and Central America. He founded the Florida Dream Center near St. Petersburg, and he and his staff worked to restore the lives of nearly 24 women and male children whose lives have been shattered by abuse difficult to even imagine. A metaphor for the restoration of their lives, as well as therapy, is restoring broken furniture.
And what they do in this particular case, you take a broken chair. This was the bathroom chair, these are the legs. They turn it into a little doll bed or dog bed, and it's really, really tremendous therapy. What they do is take something that was broken, unlovely, unusable, and make it pretty again. And they believe in their minds by the end of this, they can be pretty again too.
I was in trafficking for a very long time, from the time I was born until I was 17 years old. And it took me a very long time, and still to this day, I'm not healed. I'm very broken still. But this class helped me make something that was broken into something beautiful. And it's not finished. I'm not finished. But it's going to be finished once my project, my life is complete. I will go back and finish that painting.
Here's our registered trademark, by the way, for this. Restored, once broken, now beautiful. So that's actually the motto for the Restored program.
The program has 5 facets: arts and crafts, life group, and trauma training. And that includes counseling by 4 professional psychologists. And there's health and wellness and self-protection. It also includes life skills that include resume building, cooking, and dressing for interviews, something accomplished by a room filled with gorgeous clothing.
This particular girl, like many, but this real bad, they feel like no man has ever loved them. They've been raped by 2,000 pigs that never loved. And the girl believed that one of the things that signifies love, she'd heard this, was if a man loves you, he will kiss you goodnight because he wants to. She's never had that happen. So at the end of this, she said, "Hey, Pastor Bill, can I write on my bed?" And I said, "Sure, nobody's ever asked. But go ahead." So look what she wrote under her little mattress. "Always kiss me goodnight." This work table is shorter than the others. We have girls in here, this particular session, who are 6 and 7 years old. Been raped, paid men paid to rape them from the time they were 3 and 4. So they can't work at the big tables, they work here. And they do special projects, crafts, and things that are age appropriate. And unfortunately, one of the things in art therapy, they draw pictures. And it should be of ponies or something happy and pretty. 7-year-old drew a picture of herself with her hands tied together. Not okay, not okay, not okay.
One survivor who was sexually abused as a child made this, and at her graduation ceremony said she wanted it to go to the abused 6 and 7-year-olds in the program.
Right now, the reason I made the 2 little wall hangings was for you 2 girls, the 6 and the 7-year-old. And she said, "I want you, you're now safe. I want you to never go back. I don't want you to ever become like me." And it hurt all of us to hear her say that. She's a hero to us. At any rate, she said, "I don't want you to become like me." And she said, "So I made these for you." And she said, "But if you look very deeply at the bottom, you will see my fingerprints in the paint." She said, "I wanted you to remember wherever you go, that a part of me is with you.
The program is an aid in helping to know more about who I am personally, like as, you know, an individual, as a human being here on this earth. And it's helping me to know and understand more about like the cause and effect of, you know, like what I've gone through and how it's affected my thinking and my judgments.
The program includes counseling by 4 professional psychologists. And Pastor Bill says the survivors have acute PTSD and dissociative identity disorder, a malady that causes victims of childhood abuse to sometimes revert to the last age at which they were safe.
She was trafficked since she was 4, rescued when she was 18 because she ran. And here's the thing about that. That girl had never been out of the house that she was in. Nobody knew she existed except the bad guys. Never went to school one day in her life. In her 18 years, she's had 5 children, all 5 sold on the dark web. And I asked her, why did you run at the risk of your life? Because you know that. If you do something wrong, they'll beat you. If you run, you could get them imprisoned. They'll kill you. Why'd you do that? She said, because I'm pregnant again. And she said, I cannot face putting another child into this world. So she ran. And I'm talking to her and triggered, and I understand now what I said, but she became 4. And it was everything I could do to hold myself together.
Mentors are extremely important, and Kim Squires heads the program that teaches life skills, something she learned the hard way. Sexually abused as a child and labeled a loser in school, she turned 18 and left foster care, only to become homeless. And then she met a man at a gas station.
And he was handsome, and he jumped out of a Cadillac Escalade truck. I didn't know anything about what a trafficker was, what they looked like, what the signs were. I was a vulnerable young girl, and he knew that he had met his right victim when he only had to tell me 3 words, and that was, "You're beautiful." I immediately hung my head down. I didn't receive that, and so he knew, that I was his perfect victim.
Groomed for several weeks with lavish gifts and the necessities of life, he took Kim on her first ever vacation. And when she walked into their room, she discovered the real reason for that vacation.
When he opened the door, there was a girl in the room. I'm like, well, a hotel doesn't come with another girl in the room. And I knew then that I was in serious trouble. My stomach dropped, and I was just like, I knew that something was wrong. And so at this point, that's when they started to explain to me what was going on, what was happening, what was about to take place, what I was about to start doing. And, it was really from that moment on, I didn't really have a choice, because what traffickers do is they start manipulating you and brainwashing you and using, Stockholm Syndrome to start telling you truths with lies. So when I say that, I say it like, for the 3 weeks that he groomed me, he knew that I didn't have family that loved me. I had nowhere to go. I was homeless. He knew that I needed the basic necessities of life. And he knew that nobody would look for me either. And so what they do is they then brainwash you with telling you those truths. If you try to run, nobody's going to look for you, and I will come kill you. And they start feeding you all those truthful things that you've opened up and been vulnerable to tell him. But yet, it's mixed with a lie, because in reality, right, you can get help. But the fact that he's feeded me all these things, I believed it. And so, I just thought that this was my new life. So anyways, I would then be trafficked. I was sold to 5 different pimps over a matter of almost 6 years. So that was my life. I was drugged. I was made to work 14 to 16 hours days in either strip clubs or a high paid escort. where he had me working, you know, hotels, brothels, onlines. It was just at a higher paid level.
And as God would have it, her pimp's punishment provided a means for escape.
When he picked me up, I didn't meet my quota for that week. I was just a little bit shy. And so one of his one of his things that he would do to me was, he was a gorilla pimp, so he would rule by fear. And so he would beat me a lot. Whereas the first pimp was a Romeo pimp, and he ruled by love. And so, because I didn't meet my quota, he jumped in the back seat and he beat me. And one of his things that he always did was he would throw me out, and then he would like make his little circles and come back and get me. It was like this little thing that he used to do to me. And really what it would do is like stimulate you to fear so much that you were, you know, completely just stuck. I actually ended up, you know, rolling in hitchhiking when he thought he was going to come back and get me, but that was just enough time for me to hitchhike.
Today, Kim is a born-again Christian, single mom of 3 children, and works for several human trafficking organizations as an advocate. And she recently adopted a young trafficked survivor, likely making her the first survivor to adopt another survivor. She also volunteers for this program's life group and trauma training and life skills program. Kim also accompanies police raids to sex trafficking locations and helps victims enter survivor programs.
Thanks to Kim is how I got into the Restored. She was doing a sting on me, a sting operation, and the police were going to arrest me. They were tired of it, but I was a victim.
That's the connection that's super special between me and the girls, is that they know I've walked through what they've walked through. We're not alone, and there's not, you know, I always tell the girls, just like I told them in tonight's class, like there's not one thing that they haven't been through that I probably couldn't identify with. And so just off the bat right there, like we have that special connection. And the one thing about it is we're all survivors.
When you're trafficked, you lose your identity when you're being drugged. You know, like when drugs come into play and you're having to like beg, cheat, and steal, and, you know, bring harm to your own body, mind, and soul just to feel better, because the abuse is so insurmountable.
I felt like there was no hope. There was nothing for me in that life. I was going to end up dying or being sprung out on drugs. The program has helped me in so many ways overcome this, because they're teaching me how to tell what to look for in a sexual traffic victim, ways to help you get away from it, ways to retrain your brain, counseling, all of these things. They give you clothes, shoes, food. They help you with everything. And for a woman like us that don't have very much, that all of our pimps have took everything, or the men ruined it, the smallest things count. And this center here means everything to me, because without here, I don't know where I would be right now. I could be dead, like I said, or sprung out in a ditch somewhere. But they are the ones that helped me, and I helped myself, because they never let me give up on me. They always made sure I didn't give up on myself. I fought, and I fought so hard to make sure that I could get away from this life.
Emma's most heart-wrenching memory of her past life is not being able to rescue a friend who was also trafficked.
Because she had a choice, but she didn't. Yes, she had a choice, but when, like how Kim and me were both saying, when a pimp puts that fear into you, you can't. And she ended up trying to keep running, and he ended up killing her.
Number one precursor to suicide is hopelessness. We've got to give these girls every week a reason to not kill themselves. Let's be straight about it. They need a reason to think that one day they will be able to get a job. One day they will be loved by a man. One day they could even have a family. And all this people behind them. Well, they don't believe that when they come in here. I mean, they don't believe it. And so our biggest task is to really not just tell them that, but show them that. Have them build healthy relationships with healthy women mentors. Have them produce something with their hands. Have them work as a team. Things they have never done that are building blocks towards life. And so we're pretty passionate about this, to save their lives, not just to have a program, so to save their lives.
All I have to say is I hope for all the other women out there that possibly could hear this or see this to know you can change. You don't have to put up with what the men are putting you through. Because the more you put up with it, the more it will just eat you. You're selling your soul. Your soul is gone. And it's so hard to get it back once it's gone. There's so many stages that I'm still taking to get there. I'm still so broken, but I put a smile on every day. And that's what other women need to know. And that's all.